And here on The Vibe, while we feature headlining trends, we also go off the unbeaten path and explore smaller stories that matter. Now, what are some ways to find peace and serenity? Well, for me, I like listening to music while lighting up scented candles to create a relaxing atmosphere. And on that note, we should add incense burning to that list, as is the original aromatherapy with a history of 900 years, a practice that took place during the Song Dynasty. Reporter Sun Siqi visits a family that practices incense ritual, and as she mixes and blends, she finds out that it's more complicated than it appears. But at the end of the day, it's more than just coming up with a pleasant scent, but to stop and smell the roses.
In the past, we've made perfumes, we've made sachets, we've made floral tea, but today we're having a ceremonial experience. Ooh, it smells like a medicine cabinet.
During the Song Dynasty, tea making, flower arrangement, incense burning, and ink paintings were considered the four pursuits of refinement. Before then, they were mostly confined to nobles and the learned. These leisurely pursuits became more mainstream as societal wealth increased in this period. Starting with the basics, it's best if you acquaint yourself with the ingredients.
These are about a third of all the ingredients used in Chinese incense making: cardamom, peppermint, coriander seed, and oregano. Ambergris of different grades, benzoins from Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam.
But the cabinet of wonder is...
I wondered what spider smells like. Very spiderish.
Which is in fact valerian root.
Insect feces under a pine tree. The feces smells like a candy.
Back then, the main ideas in incense making were that it's of value if it smells good and nothing should be wasted. On to lesson number 1, preparing the burner, which is like a dance. First, prepare lotus leaf and pine needle ashes, in which a piece of charcoal will be buried. According to incense ritual master Liang Qianli, who learned the arts from his grandfather, who learned it from his father along the line of a Feng family in Zhejiang that can be traced to the end of the Song Dynasty, the ashes need to be stirred completely, not jagged like mine. The ash presser has to be lightly resting on your fingers. Feel the subtle pressure from the ash. Now press.
I suspect something is wrong with this. The cavity is much deeper than what the master just showed us.
Another rule in incense making, gloating never helps.
Just creating my own pattern, which is completely against the ritual.
There's a reason to such precision. The tightness of the spiral determines the fluffiness of the ash, which then determines the temperature of the charcoal. If it's too loose, the charcoal burns too hot and chars the incense. If it's too tight, the charcoal is extinguished. The ritual is similar to a tea ceremony in Japan, which originated in China. As for grinding, use almost no force on the wheel, otherwise you'll break the fragrant particles. Getting 8 grams of powder takes at least 6 hours of work, while a press of a button on a burner or blender gives you exactly what you want these days. The incense ritual requires dedication and a great degree of inner peace.
The grinding is very time-consuming, and you wonder, when is this going to end? And later on, you learn to be in the present, and you start to enjoy these hours of only being with yourself.
After the ritual, it's time to learn the theories of creating an incense blend that achieves harmony. Counterintuitively, creating a blend is miles deeper than a cooking experiment, where you throw in different ingredients and hope for the best.
This is third period chemistry class.
Each ingredient is graded by its olfactory qualities based on the 5 elements: water, fire, wood, metal, and earth. For example, patchouli is heavily wood, earth, and fire. And then it becomes really complicated because the chosen ingredients are supposed to interact in the same way as the 5 elements.
Water generates wood, wood generates fire, fire generates earth, and so on. And then there's the destruction cycle. Water destructs fire, fire destructs metal, metal destructs wood in this kind of star-shaped diagram.
This plays out in a simple recipe with sandalwood, spikenard, and benzoin.
Spikenard has low sillage, whereas benzoin is too strong. Intuitively, one would add more spikenard to make it come out. But according to the 5 elements, one would understand that spikenard doesn't come out because it's wood, and it's not being supported by water, which nourishes it. And benzoin is water. Instead, we should add benzoin for its water to support spikenard's wood.
Many more layers to the theory further help an experienced incense maker create harmony with any ingredients, and that can take 10 years of training.
The theory helps us categorize the scents, just like a painter knows the cool tones and the warm tones. Their interactions are not random, they follow certain rules. Like painting, the air is our canvas and scents are our colors. And a blend needs to look like a harmonious painting.
The goal isn't just to create a blend that scents your room. For Liang's ancestors, it was all about creating a scent that is harmonious and helps achieve a balanced spiritual state.
I knew a few ancient incense recipes, though I couldn't be sure how much of each ingredient one should add. Even with the same ingredient, it smells different depending on the origin and time it was harvested. This theory helps me look at blending in a dynamic way.
Traditional culture needs to be given a new life if it's going to help modern people in some way. My work is to see that this ritual does, in fact, impart peace and calm upon people.
The takeaway is that modern technologies have taught us to indulge, where ever-improving conveniences allow us to endlessly snatch at material and information. The ritual goes against that. As incense smoke and a subtle scent waft, perhaps the greatest takeaway from today is what ancient philosopher Lao Tzu once said, "In abundance we lose, and in scarcity we gain." Sun Siqi, ICS for CGTN, Shanghai.